Have you ever felt like everyone else seems to know what they're doing except you? Like everyone else is walking forward with such confidence while you're just trying to figure out where that forward even is. Growing up is advertised like it's supposed to make sense. Adults describe it like a clean progression. You gain experience, you get wiser, and things start falling into place. That's the version they tell us. However, with that logic, I should be filing my own taxes by now. The version we actually live in, growing up feels like walking down a hallway where the lights keep flickering. One moment everything is clear, the next the entire layout changes. You think you know yourself, and then suddenly you don't. You think you know the plan, and the plan takes a turn you didn't see coming. And oh my days, the advice we get, it makes things feel so much messier. You're young, you have your whole life ahead of you. Yeah, great, I'll just schedule all my upcoming mistakes now, thank you very much. Or the classic, just follow your passion. Wow, I would love to, but my passion has commitment issues, so there's that. But maybe the real reason we feel overwhelmed isn't because we're doing life wrong. Maybe it's because no one ever told us growing up isn't designed to be a straight line. When people talk about the future, the one question they usually ask is, what will life look like 10 years from now? But let's be honest, that question feels overwhelming. So I want you to try something with me instead. Picture yourself 10 years from now. Nothing special, just your everyday life. You wake up, check your phone, and head to a job you didn't even know existed when you were younger. Maybe it didn't exist yet. The skills you use most aren't the ones you memorized for your test, but the ones you learned after your original plan didn't work out. And when someone asks you how you got there, well, the answer isn't simple. It usually starts off with, well, it really wasn't part of the plan, but I guess it just happened. That right there isn't failure. It's reality. The ones who thrive won't be the ones who had everything figured out early. They'll be the ones who kept moving forward even when their plan broke out. For me, that idea did not come from the future. It came from a grade 9 classroom. When I started grade 9, I was sitting in a classroom thinking about what the next years of high school would look like for me. I fired up my laptop, headed over to the Notes app, and wrote my high school plan. Courses I want, the universities I was looking into, and the career I wanted for myself afterwards. I specifically remember this moment where it was a work period in class and I was having a discussion with my teacher. I remember asking about how difficult grade 9 was, the transition from middle school to high school, and which high school year is the most overwhelming. The response my teacher gave opened up a new perspective within my mind. He said, listen, high school is a 4-year process. You have time to mess up, you have time to improve, and you have time to make 6, 7 jokes with your friends while your teacher is giving a lesson in class. Most importantly, your passion has time to change directions. The interests you carry now most likely won't be the same ones later on. This journey isn't a straight line. It's more like a zigzag where it's filled with curiosity, challenges, relationships, and self-improvement. What matters most is the lessons you learn out of it. Once you start paying attention, you'll realize something. None of them had a straight line either. Shocking, right? Each one of them had detours, hit roadblocks, pivoted, or started over at some point. The only difference, they had lived long enough to see that those detours weren't mistakes, were just part of the path. Here's something we don't talk about enough. In 10 years, the future will reward people who never change. They will reward people who know how to. Think about it. In the next decade or so, many of us will change careers more than once. Jobs that care less about what you memorized and more about how fast you can learn. Identity won't be fixed, it'll be flexible. So when your life feels uncertain right now, that's not weakness, that's preparation. The confusion, the rethinking, the restarting, those moments are building something valuable the future will demand. Adaptability. And that constant need to change, well, that comes with a cost. The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard wrote, anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. When you're younger, life feels simpler because it's structured for you. But growing up changes that fast. Suddenly, you're choosing paths, priorities, and different versions of yourself. And those choices feel permanent, even when they aren't. Psychologist Barry Schwartz explains this with the paradox of choice. The more choices we have, the harder it becomes to choose. Meaning, we aren't confused because we're incapable. We're confused because we're growing up in a timeline with more options, more pressure, and more expectations than ever before. Freedom is exciting, but it's also heavy. And learning how to carry that weight is a part of becoming ready for the future. When we take a look at the way human growth moves, the way I see it move, it's like a heartbeat. Up, down, pause, restart, forward again. It really shows that we grow in cycles. Now, this isn't failure, it's development. Psychologist Carol Dweck puts it best: becoming is better than being. Meaning, the ones who thrive won't be the ones who figured everything out early, they will be the ones who kept becoming even when it felt uncomfortable. As a kid in elementary school, I always found soccer to be the sport for me. I always loved the concept and dynamic of the game. It was so appealing. It was also a place where I could, leave my stress, whether I was having a bad day, or it's also a place where, I can play and interact with my friends while growing our friendships. It's also a place where things actually made sense. It went so much to the point where I signed up for a Tim Hortons soccer league program. And I remember as soon as I signed up, I started practicing, doing different soccer celebrations for 1 hour if I were to get a goal in game, I unfortunately scored 0 goals that season, so my practice went down the drain. My confidence was at a professional level, however, my skills weren't, so there's that. The majority of my friend group idolized basketball. It was one of the big sports played during recess time. Something I'll never forget is there was a classmate playing along with us. When you're playing basketball, you have your hand, you're dribbling with your palm. It wasn't the case for this fella. He was full on punching it like, and I'm like, you know what? We all start somewhere. And hey, who am I to judge? I was practicing doing celebrations rather than kicking a soccer ball itself. With the influence of my friends, basketball became the main thing for me. I started watching games more and playing it so much more to the point I prioritized it over soccer without even realizing. However, that is something I won't ever regret because it taught me outgrowing something isn't quitting, it's becoming. So let me teach you something simple, a skill the next 10 years will require over and over again. I call it the pivot skill. It has 3 steps. First, notice. Notice when something no longer fits, a class, a plan, a direction. Second, pause. Don't panic, don't spiral. Confusion doesn't mean you failed, it means you're learning. Third, move. Move forward without full certainty. I can't emphasize this enough. Most people wait until they feel ready, but I hate to break it to you. The future won't wait. Real life doesn't happen when things are all sunshines and rainbows. It happens when it's messy. Growing up isn't my perfection. It's about navigating through the moments that aren't part of the plan at all. For me, one of those moments was switching schools. From the ages 5 to 11, I have attended 2 public schools. I was always used to having lots of kids in a classroom and the diverse friend groups that came along with it. I remember this one time where I was heading over to a family friend's house, and actually one of the family members used to attend this very school. They were explaining to me how private school life consists of fewer students in a classroom, much more inclusive learning, and a controlled environment overall. Hearing all of this really intrigued me because the need for school became so much more appealing. I was in grade 6, and I had a decision to make. If I were to step away towards the end, it would mean starting over and making new friends and fitting into a new place. However, I believe that trying new things doesn't hurt. So I joined in grade 7. Safe to say, I do not regret any part of that decision. I was able to adapt to the environment easily, make new friends, and be surrounded by an environment where kindness goes everywhere. It's also crazy to say that 5 years later, since joining the school, I'm able to stand up here and talk about something meaningful in front of a beautiful audience. Ladies and gentlemen, moments like these don't take us off the path. They create the path. And when your life feels uncertain right now, it's strengthening something the future will demand from you again and again when you keep moving forward. The uncertainty you're feeling feels overwhelming. I get that. Everyone's been there. But when you move forward with all certainty, it really teaches you something, that You don't need a perfect plan to keep moving forward. You just need the proper mindset and that courage to keep going, even when times are tough. So, what will the future look like in 10 years? Unpredictable, fast, messy. But here's the good news. So are we. You don't need a perfect plan to build a meaningful life. You need the willingness to grow through the moments that weren't a part of the plan at all. The loops you're in right now, the doubt, the searching, the shifting, it doesn't mean that you're behind. It means you're becoming someone capable of handling real life. Kierkegaard said, freedom creates dizziness, but dizziness means you're stepping into something bigger. When you look back 5 years, 10 years from now, you'll be proud of the moments when everything made sense. You'll be proud of the moments when you move forward, even when nothing did. Growing up isn't a straight line. It never has been. So that is exactly why you will be ready for whatever comes next. Thank you.